So good. I love your visual.
All right, folks, I'm here to present another fine member of my advisor group, Johnny Brown.
80% of success is just showing up. This quote is important to me because I believe that it takes the motivation to try something to succeed at it. I wish it meant that I would get a free 80% on every test, just for taking it. I also wish it meant I would get a free 80% on this me project, just for trying. What this quote really means is that if you try hard at everything you do, that you will exceed at least 80% of the time. I have found this to be true in all areas of my life. I know how a lot of people get nervous about this project. I guess I am nervous about my poster and my writing. But one advantage I have is that I am not at all a naturally shy person. Some people are born shy and have to force themselves into not being shy. But I'm just a naturally loud person. I have to tell everybody about the 4 areas of my life. I'm going to start with physical. Throughout the course of the 8th grade year, I have participated in various physical activities. I have developed my skill level in many sports this year. I have played soccer before 8th grade, but I've never really developed my skills at a high level. In fact, I missed a practice where I was named player with the lowest attendance. Unlike soccer, I have been developing my tennis ability at a high level. I have improved quickly. Just 2 years ago, I was struggling to get the ball over the net. And in 7th grade, it seemed that the only shot I knew was the backhand slice. This year, I'm using real strokes with topspin. In the summer before 8th grade, I played at St. Xavier at the summer program. Once school began, I was playing tennis very regularly, and improving too. Although I had a setback when I broke my wrist, I got back into tennis quickly, and enough to play for the high school tennis team. As I said earlier, I played soccer for collegiate during the 8th grade. I started the season late because I had been vacationing during the first 2 weeks of practice. Once the school began, I got into it slowly, and it took until the second to last game of the season for me to finally play a good game. Although I consider my physical life playing sports at home, like tennis, I consider vacations that challenges you physically and forces you to show that you can make it outside a comfortable, warm, electrically powered house. I took part in this kind of vacation last year. I went to Maine on a sailing trip the summer before 8th grade. I did enjoy it. We fished, swam, and sailed for 7 days of roughing it. I loved swimming, sailing, and catching fish on the boat. The toughest part of the trip was without question the bathrooms, especially when the captain, in an attempt to prank us, disabled the toilet and handed us a bucket. The moral of that story is to never trick the captain into eating toothpaste. Despite that fun prank, I had fun. I hope to sail again one day. I am proud of my physical growth during the course of the 8th grade year. I hope that it will continue in high school. Okay, so this is my physical poster. These pictures of me playing tennis and stuff. Pictures from Maine, like me and Elias on the boat. And this is me playing soccer. Academic. You only get out what you put in. I found the saying to be very true about my academic life. Although I get more enjoyment out of my physical life and social life, I know that academics are more important. This year my grades have been very up and down. My grades basically follow the same pattern as my effort does, which, to me, proves the saying that I mentioned earlier right. 8th grade is probably the hardest year I have had yet. And this is because I have to actually work hard and use study skills to do well. I've always been able to do the bare minimum, not listen, and not study for a huge test until the night before, and still get good grades. Well, that is until 8th grade. During the first quarter of this year, my methods worked well, and even the second quarter, they worked relatively well. But when we got back from Christmas break, my academic life was messier and weaker than ever, and so was my first Edline report. After this, I began to work harder and use better study skills. These skills proved useful when my grades had a steady rise. I've also had large improvement in history this year. At the beginning of the year, Mr. Haas had to remind me to get my finger out of my eye and put it on my pencil at least every 5 minutes. As the year progressed, I still had trouble listening and taking notes, but I had improved. Now I'm listening more consistently and taking thorough notes. These in-class study skills I give Mr. Haas credit for teaching me have really helped me out in my grades. I am really seeing improvement in my academic life this year. I have learned so many valuable skills in every class that I will use in high school. This is my academic poster, and this is the test I didn't listen on. This is the test that I listened. Social. When I was in kindergarten, I had two best friends, Stuart and Nathaniel. In the end of kindergarten, Stuart had to move. So in first grade, Nathaniel and I were best friends. But in the middle of the year, Nathaniel had to move to Detroit. After that, I had to learn how to make friends without them coming to me. I've always been a pretty social person. In 8th grade, I have been more social than ever. I have made new friends, strengthened many friendships, and made more friends outside of school. This year, I'm beginning to make good friends outside of school. I have made a lot of good friends in Amelia Island in Florida. I go there for spring break every year. This year, there were 3 boys close to my age living close to me, and we got to be friends by playing tennis, basketball, and swimming together. They made that vacation a lot more fun. This is the last year before high school. And as soon as high school comes around, many of my close friends will be leaving collegiate. Some of my friends who are staying will have a very different high school curriculum next year, so I won't get to see them much, even if they are at collegiate. Therefore, I have tried to strengthen friendships with many of my school friends. I'm trying to make the most of my social life before I go to high school, where everything in my social life will probably change. Although I will try to remain good friends with all my friends this year, it will be hard to stay in touch with the ones that are leaving. I hope I make new friends in high school and stay friends with my friends now. My social life is very important to me because there's nothing I hate more than being alone. At night, I usually leave the TV on to go to sleep, just so my room doesn't feel so lonely. So I'm anything but a loner. Here's my poster. This pictures of me with friends. Inner self. Inner self is a very important area of my life. I had to think hard about what to put for this part. But I think I was able to show the highlights of my inner self pretty well. There are two important parts of my inner self. One is travel, and the other is religion. I'm going to start with travel. There are a few destinations that I think are part of my inner self. The first one is my summer camp, Camp Alpine. I've been going since 2nd grade. I couldn't go last year because it interfered with other plans for the summer. But I missed it this summer, so I'm going for the last time this summer. Although I enjoy playing video games and watching TV, it is fun to go to Alpine and play real games, like dodgeball. Alpine has always been very important to me because I feel like I am really experiencing nature when I am there. The second place I go to a lot is Florida. As I mentioned earlier, I go to Amelia Island every spring break. Every summer, my family and I visit Orlando, Florida, and spend 2 weeks in Disney. Family vacations are also very important to me because most of the time I am doing things with friends. But on these vacations, I can have fun with just my family. These vacations in Florida really define my inner self. Throughout my life, I have visited 3 European countries. First, I visited Italy in 4th grade, then Ireland in 7th grade, and just recently, France over spring break. All 3 of these trips have been fun, and I learned a lot on them. I'm even going